going to go with their second-round pick, which is a North Dakota State guy, Dillon Radunz. They needed help along their offensive line. This guy will fill a need for them at right tackle. They lost Jack Conklin, so they had a huge hole over there to fill. I think Dillon Radunz is the prototypical right tackle that they need for the offense they run. The guy's a road grader for a run blocker, and for them having King Henry in that backfield, he's going to be a plug and play type guy for them because they're again running that zone blocking scheme. They won't miss a beat for King Henry over there. I don't think. To me, that was probably their very best pick.
Did the Titans lose anybody on the offensive line from last year though?
Conklin.
No, or did they?
Yeah.
I know that they had some injury. I know they had some injury problems. I know that was a big concern for them going into the draft was, not just replacing people that they had lost, but also kind of dealing with some depth because of the injuries that they had last year.
Right. Anytime you can add depth to the offensive line, I think you are winning either way, especially in the second round. So who is their best draft pick this year?
Yeah, I think best draft pick here, you're going to call me a homer, I know it, but hey, Dez Fitzpatrick, wide receiver out of Louisville. The guy is a physical go-get-it receiver.
Homer.
A sleeper pick here for them. I think personally, possibly the biggest sleeper pick of the entire AFC South draft class for all four teams.
Okay.
Like I said, he's a physical go-get-it wide receiver. You can throw it up in the air to him. He'll come down with it. Got some nice speed under him where he can get around the wide receivers. I got to watch this guy a bunch at Louisville. He's a really exciting talent, and I think he, not taking anything away from Tutu, but I think he would have been a much higher prospect if Tutu wasn't there because, of course, Tutu was an awesome wide receiver that was taking up a lot of reps. But Dez Fitzpatrick, I believe, 3 or 4 year starter for the Cardinals, played a long time for him, really good receiver for him. So I think he was the best pick for him, and also wide receiver is a position that they needed to fill after losing Corey to the Jets over the summer.
So Wyatt, let me correct me if I'm wrong here, but you've had two receivers from Louisville be the team's best draft picks, right?
Yes.
And how many wins did Louisville have last season? 4?
I don't remember. I think it was like 4. Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah, they went 4-8 if I'm not mistaken. So if you have two receivers that are arguably the best in their class because you said, they were the best picks for those particular teams, don't you think the team would have better than 4 wins here?
Well, the quarterback situation was rough in Louisville last year. They couldn't decide who was going to be the quarterback, whether it was Cunningham or I think it was Peel was the other guy. And then they had another guy come in who was supposed to be Lamar's replacement. It was supposed to be just as good as Lamar, and then that, of course, didn't pan out. Actually, Tutu Atwell was supposed to come in and play a little quarterback for Louisville because he's from the same high school that Lamar Jackson is, so he was supposed to come in and play a little quarterback and ended up ultimately playing wide receiver, which he was good at. He went as a second-round pick. But I can tell you, I watched both of these guys play. I think the Titans had a big need for wide receiver, and I can almost guarantee you that Dez Fitzpatrick is going to see some time on the field this year.
So why?
Because he's going to have Tannehill throwing him the ball as well.
So the leading passer for the Louisville Cardinals every game last year was Cunningham, and he threw for almost 300 yards almost every game. So this is when you say the defense was the issue for the Louisville Cardinals, not the offensive side.
It definentely was too, but the quarterback play was not great.
And you dropped the ball, Wyatt. Come on, man.
The quarterback play was rough too. I mean, I went to the Wake Forest game last year, and there was a play. It was like the second or third play from the start of the game, and Cunningham looked to his left and threw it, but he didn't realize he threw it behind him, so it was a fumble. So he's just standing there staring at the ball while it's laying on the ground, and the defense is running over to it. I'm like, what are you doing? There was all kinds of I guess you could call them brain farts. I don't know, brain passes that he had that he just didn't realize he did something wrong. And, of course, that's why we ended up with 4 wins, I think, because the quarterback play was subpar. The defensive play, like you mentioned, defense wasn't great either. But really, I think, in my opinion, the only 2 solid teams. All
righty, Wyatt. We let you rant and rave about Louisville Cardinals. Enough. Let that brain fart go past your ears. Give you a break and let's let out the steam. Okay, are you ready to talk some AFC South here?
I'm ready to talk some AFC South.
Tennessee Titans, what's their worst draft pick?
Yeah, I think it's Monty Rice, linebacker out of Georgia.
Yeah.
They didn't really have a great draft. I thought it was average. There was nobody really that stuck out to me as a clear-cut league starter for an entire career. I think Dez will have a good career, nothing crazy, but I think Monty Rice will have definitely the worst career of all of them. Plus, I thought it was a little bit of a reach for where they got him. I think he could have been there a little later, or there were some other options they could have gone with at this particular spot that would have been better than Monty Rice. But you get a guy from the SEC as well who has played tougher competition, so I guess you could consider him more NFL ready, if that's how you would say it. But I think Monty Rice would definitely be their worst pick.
Yeah, I had to agree with that. I only watched a couple games, or actually a couple highlight clips of Monty Rice, and he's the type of player that really didn't jump off the screen at me. So I do concur of what you said. Tori, who is the Titans' worst draft pick in your eyes?
Why are you guys ignoring the obvious one? Rashad Weaver's never going to play it down in the NFL for the Tennessee Titans. The guy's been charged with assault. That's assault, brother. So, obviously, that's a wasted pick. So, how is that not the worst draft pick that they have? And the sad part is this guy's probably never going to play it down in the NFL. And I was still debating between him and Caleb Farley for their worst draft pick. That's how bad I think that their draft was. I am not a fan. I am not a fan of the Titans draft this year. I mean, but to their credit, with Caleb Farley, it is literally a boom or bust pick. This kid's going to be an All-Pro Hall of Famer or awful. There's going to be no in between with this kid.
I like that analysis.
He's either going to be Kevin King or he's going to be Deion Sanders.
Wow, that's
a pretty big window.
Well, and I think Kevin King is still got some upside to him, but we'll talk about the Packers
in the regular season
later in the week here. But Tori, what is your overall grade for the Tennessee Titans in this year's draft?
Overall, I give him a C-. I actually kind of like the pick of Monty Rice just because he's a speed linebacker, but they drafted him, I think, way too high. Okay. So I kind of downgrade that pick. But the guy is a sideline-to-sideline linebacker. So I actually like the pick. I just don't like where he got picked. So overall, I give him a C-, based mostly off of the fact that you drafted a corner that's injury-prone. You drafted a guy, well, to their credit, they didn't know about the charges against Rashad Weaver. So, you wasted a draft pick there. I'm not a fan of the Racey McMath pick either. So what did you do to make your team? What did you do to make your team better? Nothing really, outside of you shored up your offensive line with Dillon Radunz.
So let me ask you that question right here. The Tennessee Titans finished 11-5 last year with the first round exit in the playoffs, lost to Baltimore Ravens. Did their draft this year make them a better team at all?
No,
not at all.
No, they will either be the same or worse.
All right,
I think so.
Why? What is your draft grade for the Titans?
See, Tor, you gave him a C-, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we're right in the same ballpark. I gave him a C. I said it was average, because there were some terrible picks. I didn't really want to penalize him for, of course, the second round pick with, the whole issue with he's going to jail. So, because they didn't know that. Now, I also think it's a little bit of their fault because they didn't dive a little deeper into his history. So, I think it relies on them a little bit. But at the same time, they didn't know. So, I didn't want to penalize them too much for that. I do agree with Tori that I think Farley is a boomer bust kind of player. I think he has more of a boom upside, but also I like the pick of Dez Fitzpatrick, as well as the offensive tackle they got. It is slipping my mind. What was his name, Tori?
Dillon Radunz.
Yes. Which that was a nice pick for them. So like I said, I think it balanced itself out. I think there was 3, good picks. I think there was 4 or 5, average or bad picks. So I give them right an average draft just to see.